Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of September 4, Wednesday. I'm Riza Diaz. We start today's rush with Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo threatening to sue media outlets reporting on his alleged recommendation letter on behalf of the family of convicted rapist and murderer Antonio Sanchez. Panelo says it was not a recommendation, just a referral. Maricel Halili has the report.
The family of Antonio Sanchez recounted how desperate they had been to have the head of their family released from jail. At the Senate hearing on the Good Conduct Time Allowance Law, they related how they asked some of the most influential government officials for a recommendation to grant Sanchez an executive clemency. They even included former First Lady Imelda Marcos. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo also issued a letter, but he clarified that it was just a referral, not a recommendation.
Meron po pong address sa akin, sir, Office of the Presidential Legal Counsel. We write in reference to the letter of Mrs. Marie of Antoinette Sanchez, signed by Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo. Sino? Salvador Panelo po.
For Senator Ping Lacson, even if it was just a referral letter, there's still a conflict of interest.
It says a lot, and I think we deserve an explanation from him. Kasi kung sa context ng pagiging legal officer ng presidente, okay lang yon kasi tumatanggap talaga sa mga complaints. Pero from the context of being the former defense counsel of Antonio Sanchez, maraming ibig sabihin yon.
But Panelo said he did nothing wrong.
I never recommended anything. In other words, the office just physically act on referring the same to the appropriate agencies.
On February 8, Panelo said he received an email from Sanchez's daughter Marie Antonelle V. In the email, she asked Panelo, Senator Bongo, and the president to give them a recommendation for her father's executive clemency. Panelo said he did not grant the request. Instead, he sent a referral letter to the Board of Pardons and Parole on February 26.
What is important is when I told them exactly the Bureau of Corrections will be the one to determine whether or not your application will be approved or not. You can't do anything. We always follow the law.
On March 19, the head of the board, Reynaldo Bayang, answered Panelo's letter, saying that Sanchez's motion for reconsideration had already been denied.
This office, as I said, receives and responds to all letters. We cannot discriminate. Otherwise, we will be accused of being partial and discriminatory.
For News 5, Maricel Halili, we are One News.
Still on that case, senators grilled the ex-mayor's family regarding their failure to pay over 12 million pesos in damages imposed by the court when he was convicted in 1995. It turns out they really have no intention of paying indemnity. Ria Fernandez with a report.
It was back in 1995 that then Calauan Mayor Antonio Sanchez was convicted in the rape-slay case of UPLB students Eileen Sarmenta and Alan Gomez. Almost 3 decades later, not a single cent of the over 12 million peso indemnity has been paid. Sanchez's common-law wife insists the Sarmenta and Gomez families are not entitled to it.
Lagi po namin sinasabi, laging paulit-ulit po namin sinasabi, bakit po kami magbabayad? Wala naman pong kasalanan ng aking asawa. Opo. Yung sinasabi po nilang araw, pecha na sinabi ni rape si Eileen at pinatay si Alan Sarmenta, Alan Gomez, nasa amin po ang asawa ko.
Senator Franklin Drilon says the Justice Department must enjoin the Sanchezes to pay damages, especially since it was in the court decision. But Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara says it is up to the private prosecutor to pursue the indemnity. Problem is, the payment of indemnity has already lapsed the prescriptive period.
And there have been many justices of the department, secretaries of the Department of Justice who should have taken this step long ago.
Yes.
Why? Because there is a prescriptive period for execution of judgments.
Oh, sige.
Based on judgments, you have a period of 10 years
Mrs. Sanchez also admitted to meeting Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faeldon last August 21 after receiving a text from a known number.
Ngayon sabi nga niya sa akin, hindi nga, na-hold nga daw yung papapalabas kasi nga ako, nagkaroon siya ng bagong direktiba na ang lalabas ay first in, first out. Ay sabi niya, at kung qualified si Mayor, within 2 months, makakalabas siya.
Senators asked her who sent the text, but Mrs. Sanchez said she does not have the sender's number anymore.
Actually nga po, kanina lang wala na po akong cellphone.
Ano?
Kasi kanina lang po, kasi nung
kanina lang na nawala ang cellphone mo.
Hindi po nawala. Binasa ko po, tinanggal ko po ang SIM card. Kasi pag-gising ko kanina, after nung hearing na to, ang dami ho nag-text na sa akin. May mga death threat na ho kami. Kaya ang ginawa ko, syempre adverse of my emotion, ay tanggalin ko na lang tong SIM card ko. Tanggal na lang ako ng cellphone.
But the lawmakers were not convinced, and so they told Mrs. Sanchez to leave them her personal number so they may trace the sender. It was also revealed in a hearing that Faeldon signed the memorandum for release of Sanchez on the day his wife received the text message. But he said he recalled the memo, although verbally.
The reason I stopped the release of PDL Sanchez is that I told the lawyers that I will use the kubul as my basis to invalidate all his earned GCTAs in the past.
After discovering anomalies at the Bucor, senators are now pushing to repeal the law on good conduct time allowance. Lawmakers are also studying recommendations on the measure, including the possible filing of cases against Faeldon.
This law was made full of holes by the implementing rules and regulations. It focused power in one person in the Bureau of Correction.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson wasn't impressed, nor was he convinced that the Bucor chief Nick Faeldon answered any of the senator's questions truthfully. Ria Fernandez returns for this report.
On the second day of the Good Conduct Time Allowance System hearing, Senator Panfilo Lacson said he finds the statements of Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faeldon confusing and inconsistent. Faeldon had insisted that he was against the pending release of convicted rapist murderer Antonio Sanchez. If so, Lacson says Faeldon should have not signed the release memo in the first place.
At the time I signed it, but I cannot...
Well, there's some inconsistency here because if I were in your position, ako naging chief PNP ako, pag hindi ako naniniwala, I will not sign.
Asked if it was on his own initiative to recall his order to release Sanchez,
After I signed it, even the documents are complete, I continue to ponder what is my legal basis to stop it.
Kasi kung ganito, nag-sign ako, and then naisip ko, mukhang mali. I'll just crumple the paper and throw it in or shred it. But for me to sign and then recall, mukhang hindi yata, it doesn't make sense to me.
Faeldon says he was simply following Republic Act 10592, which recomputes the GCTA of prisoners. But Lacson wouldn't budge. He believes that the Bucor chief was not telling the truth.
Maliwanag yan, narinig nyo lahat, di ba? At meron siyang interview noong August 20 or August 21 na nagbibilay. This is nasabi niya kanina.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Liwayway has intensified further overnight into a tropical or a typhoon category. And to give us more updates on today's weather, we have with us on the line Lori de la Cruz from the Pag-asa Weather Forecasting Center. Lori, good morning. We would like to know what is the latest on Liwayway, its location, and the track that it's taking.
Good morning, Ms. Risa, and to all the viewers and listeners of One News. Typhoon Liwayway was last estimated at 305 kilometers northeast of Pasco, Batanes, and it has slightly intensified. Right now, it is packing maximum sustained winds of 130 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of 160 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 over Batanes has been lifted for now. And however, occasional gusty winds may still occur in Batanes and Babuing group of islands due to southwest monsoon. For northern Luzon and the rest of central Luzon, we will still experience cloudy skies with light to moderate rains due to southwest monsoon as well. And this typhoon is expected to exit the Philippine area of responsibility by Friday evening or Saturday early morning. That's the latest from Pag-asa.
Thank you. That was Pag-asa weather forecaster Lori de la Cruz. Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the Supreme Court has anonymously shut down the petition for same-sex marriage in the country. The High Court acknowledged that the Constitution does not define or restrict marriage on the basis of sex or gender, but dismissed the petition due to a technicality, particularly the petitioner's lack of legal standing. Although the Supreme Court recognized that same-sex couples may insist their rights against discrimination, however, it said that the matter should be brought to Congress. This from the Philippine Star. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin insists President Duterte did not apologize to Chinese President Xi Jinping when he raised the Hague ruling at their meeting. That's contrary to presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo's earlier claims that Duterte was apologetic at the time. Locsin added that Duterte was not rejected by China, saying both countries insisted in their claims and just decided to move on. Gilas Pilipinas was officially relegated to the classification stage of the 2019 FIBA World Cup after suffering a 59-point loss to Serbia on Monday. But the Philippines still has a chance to end the group stage on a high note with a win over Angola this afternoon, Manila time. Now, despite Angola ranking 8 spots lower than Gilas, Coach Yang Yao and his men are not exactly expecting a walk in the park but are looking forward to a good matchup. The official theme song for this year's Southeast Asian Games has been released. The song, We Win as One, was written by national artist for music, Ryan Cayabyab, and was brought to life by Broadway star Lea Salonga. It was launched on Tuesday at the Resorts World Manila. FISGOC Chairman Alan Peter Cayetano explained that the Philippines, as this year's host country, must be able to showcase the best. And despite her international success, Salonga says nothing beats singing for her fellow Filipinos. That's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.